Yeah, I mean, I love college football. I don't get to watch a lot of other games because watch everything in the Pac-12. But I did watch the Cal game, and Tim DeRuyter's a great friend of mine, their defensive coordinator. I thought he did a masterful job. And I mean, I watch it same way. But what you see is, you know, you see, it's hard. One of the hardest things is to handle success, and then just how everybody matches up with everybody. And in the course of the year, it's different. You know what I mean? Because you have to get better and get better and get better throughout the year. It's just like now. I mean, we got to put, you know, that's one of the biggest things. There's a lot of distractions with that. You can imagine that with our guys and all that stuff. So I even have to say, hey, man, let's move on from what we're doing. It's obviously easy whenever you have to go when you're going your next opponent's Utah. So, but no, I'm a fan of it. I think that's it's going to be probably one of those years, and I think it's tough. And they probably don't like me saying it, but I'm a fan, so I'm gonna give them my opinion as a fan, and I think we should have a 18 playoff because I think the conference champion from the five major leagues should be represented. Because you guys know as well as I do, you can schedule a bunch of weak teams. Our schedule was a lot harder than when we scheduled it. We didn't. I mean, you look at the teams we've played have been pretty good. Well, when you get down to the end of the season, teams start playing better and start peaking at different times. And if you're a champion in a major conference, you should be in the playoff. Then you have three at large. You still keep the tradition of the bowls, the major bowls, intact. But for the fans and for, I can't imagine, just like the year when you work. I think it was Stanford that year. I don't think anybody, most time when they win the Pac-12, they've got a couple losses. The winner does. And, I can't imagine, not get an opportunity when you're the Pac-12 champion or the SEC champion, Big Ten champion. That's just something I hope in the future they'll look at. And maybe it's not for me to say, but that as a fan, that's one of the things I'd love to see happen. But I don't want to get away from the traditions. I think it's important. The bowls, I don't ever want to get rid of the Rose Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl or Sugar Bowl. I think those things are really, really important. I like the bowl system, and I think it can work that way. But I just think the conference champion should mean something, and scheduling shouldn't come into play. We play 9 conference games. That's better for our fan base. It's actually better financially for us, right, than other conferences. And I think that I think that's what everybody should do. It should be the same for everybody. And I know people say, well, now you're going to play another game. Well, cancel one of those 1AA games. Play 11 games. I don't like those games. Those games make me nervous. I don't like those games. And so that's what I'd tell you about this weekend is that, this is going to be one of those years, and it doesn't matter. In this league, every week you got to bring it because it is hard. It's hard to be on the road in this league. I talked about that the other day geographically, and then there's not anybody that can't beat you on any given weekend, and then you just got to keep getting better and keep up. And it's how bad you want it. Now somebody said the other day, I just got on an interview. They said, "Hey, I guess it's better to be lucky than what I'm going." Hold on a minute now. They didn't turn the ball over 7 times. They didn't turn the ball over any. We won. Our guys wanted it, and we outplayed them. And I'm not being arrogant by that. I'm just saying that's a fact. And same thing whenever you see these upsets. I mean, those teams earn those things. I mean, they don't just happen. And so, but it's tough that it's really not a positive thing probably for our league right now because we're the only Power 5 that doesn't have an undefeated team, and 2 of them went down in one weekend. You guys probably can answer that better than me. I'm just so engulfed in my league and what I'm doing and my schedule. I really, it's just like when they used to have me vote on that deal. Man, that was hard. That was a hard deal for me to do because I'm just like, I got enough to worry about not trying to do that. But I don't like all the voting stuff and all those things. I think it ought to be played on the field, and I think you could. I don't know. I think I know in our league, there's not any any weekend that from top to bottom that you're not gonna, you better come out and you better bring it. So um, I know a little bit. I watch a little bit of, because common opponents. I watch a little bit of the Big 12. I think it's pretty similar there. I think there's other leagues though have people at the bottom that are a little bit separated. I think more than what we have in our league. So everybody thinks their league's the toughest, but obviously when you look at, I watch Alabama just a little bit because they play early. I watch a little bit of the SEC stuff. They're definitely in a pretty high level. I don't know. I don't watch all the other teams from that league. I know some coaches and stuff that coach in that league that I know, but I don't know that there's a league in the country that there can't be one that has more parity than what our league has. Yeah, I really think that's our deal is that there's a lot of things that has contributed to those things. We didn't hold the ball. We got the ball out on time. That's what we need. And at times we've held the ball. We protected better. And I think what we did schematically helped. And I think we're finding, is our whole deal is adapting to Manny. That's the whole deal. It doesn't really matter what your philosophy is on all these different things. Is that we've got to, if you'll just do, all I ask them to do on offense is I say, hey, I want you to have 100% ball security, and they did that. They checked that box, and that's the key to winning. And then just, man, I want to eliminate the negatives. And if we'll do that, I feel like with the talent that we have, we're going to be able to score. And we played a heck of a defense, but I still think we should have, with the amount of opportunities we have, we should have scored more points. And there's things we can do to be better disciplined as far as in our execution. And then there's things that we go back and look at and say, right here, man, we need to give ourselves a chance with maybe getting our best guy the ball right here in this situation or that situation. I think that is the formula for us being successful, is eliminate the negatives. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, he's obviously the starter. I think Troy's a very, very talented young man. I mean, he kicked our tail last year. Both those guys are very similar. Both of them are very, very athletic. I think both of them have a command of what they're doing. They're very well coached on the offensive line. Their offensive line is really good. I think their backs are the same back, kind of guys they have every year that's really hard-nosed, tough. When you play Utah, that's just what it's going to be. It's going to be you better put a little air in your helmet. It's going to be physical, and so especially going in there. So whichever quarterback plays, I don't think that it's going to change it won't change a lot about what we do game plan wise. I think both of them are really good, and I think they're very similar. Mm-hmm. No. Here's what I talk about. I tell them like what my overall record is on the road in the last 5 years. No. This guy freaking kills me. No. The reality is this. I'm very honest with them. I'll be honest with you. This is what I tell them. We are 0-2 on the road. Doesn't matter what happened last year. We're 0-2 on the road. How have we played on the road, and what's contributed that? We didn't play very good the first half at Texas Tech, and came back and rallied and came up short in a game that you'd like to have back. So underperformed as far as I'm concerned. We go to Stanford. Stanford, you're seeing, is a really good football team, and very, very well coached. And basically the difference in that game was our inability to make tackles on a really good back, which quite a few people have had a hard time tackling him. And we turned the ball over one more time than they did. So we had 2 interceptions in that game. There was a 10-point game. So so what that tells you is that going on the road, the biggest thing is focus. You're in a hostile environment. That's why it's so hard to play out here, man. That's a great atmosphere, man. That's a great home field advantage. And so it's hard. It's the hardest thing to do. And so you have to be twice as focused, twice as prepared, and you cannot put yourself in adverse situations. So that's what we've talked to them about. And, yeah, we have. That's the first thing I open up the deal with is, hey, forget about the last game. Right now we're where we want to be. And all we got to do is figure out how to win this week and then go to the next week. It's like a single elimination tournament. And so to do that, we're going on the road. And these guys know. We know what it's like to play there. We've got a pretty veteran team. And so I do talk about that. And, it's about your mental maturity and how you go about approaching those things. But I also don't think you can ignore that stuff. You gotta know it is harder. It is a challenge. So I'm pretty honest about those things. But I don't think what we did last year has any impact on what we're doing this year. You know what I'm saying? I think just like what we did 3 years ago don't have anything to do with it. This is every year is a new team and a new personality and a new makeup of that team. And the reality is we're 0-2 on the road, and we got to go get that rectified. And to do that, it's just being better prepared. So that's what I tell them. That's our whole deal is focusing. Our goal and our mission here is to be the best in the Pac-12, and that starts with winning the South. And so we talk about championship preparation because it happens on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then obviously you get to game day, it's a little too late. My main thing is just getting them focused, getting and having great preparation. That you practice fast, you practice hard. As you go through, one of the things is being a top-down team. That's what I mean when I'm talking about. I'm talking to the top players out there. You got to want to come to practice and get coached every day. And we should coach our best players the hardest. And sometimes that doesn't happen, especially when you experience success. They kind of say, hey, you need to chill out, coach. Okay, did you see? We had a pretty good game last week, so I coach them harder when you experience success. Sometimes when you're not experiencing success is when you better hold on and be positive. So that's what I mean. Championship preparation is that if we'll prepare and we'll go out every day and every person will give us his best every single day, and that's coach, player, manager, trainer, everybody out there, that's the minimum expectation for having a chance to be successful on Saturday. Mm-hmm. I think it's evolving, but I don't think by any means that we've arrived at all. I mean, last Saturday was awesome. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I mean, it was as gratifying of a win as I've had, especially the way our guys prepared and the way they executed the plan. But I think we started coming together several weeks ago, and I think we've improved. I think one of the turning points really was the second half of the Tech game. I think we started getting better, moving forward from there, and I really don't think. I'm not talking about players. I'm talking about us as coaches and everybody. It's just the challenges of getting that going. I told somebody the other day we don't have a preseason. You just go right in and you start playing, and so you better get it right before you start playing conference play. And I think we really started finding our identity in the first conference game, and then I think it's evolved, and I think we're playing our best football right now, but we're not anywhere close to where we need to be to accomplish our goals. I don't know. I mean, I think we're a lot better football team. We were 5-1 last year, but and so that's where you got to look at kind of who you play, and all that, because in my opinion, we're a lot better football team this year than we were last year in every way. So, but we still got a long way to go. We got a lot of. We can be a lot better. We can do things a lot better than we're doing it. I don't know. I mean, we you got to go out and be consistent, and you get evaluated at the end of the season is how it works, and so that's what I love about it. You win or you don't, and so we'll see how it pans out as we move down the stretch. Uh, that's a great question. Um, I'll be real honest with you. I think that, and I said this the other day. It has been you got a team that's been trained for years. Most of these guys have been here 3 or 4 years that are playing, and with change happens, and you try to. The key is not vacating all the work you did with that team developing them. Does that make sense? You can't just totally change the system, and so, but with new people, it's just a challenge. Those things are, and so with all the change, it was such a challenge where we were just sluggish. I knew we had the potential to have a good team. We were just sluggish. We weren't adapting. We were trying to, but we weren't adapting to our players like we needed to. And I think what happened in that second half is we started to click. We started to do the things that we need to do. We started getting the ball out on time. We started doing things, I think, that are more conducive to what our guys can execute and what they've been recruited to do. And I'm gonna tell you, there was a will in our kids. I mean, I've experienced that twice since I've been here. Once, I'm just telling you, because I was engulfed at the USC game when the Jail Mary happened. I'm just telling you. I'd like to say, well, I was sat here and knew it was going to happen. I'm trying to figure out how to stop these guys, because if you remember, we couldn't stop them. And I'm trying to figure out how to stop them. And I just kept hearing Berkovici. I just kept hearing these kids, we're going to win this game, we're going to win this game, we're going to win this game. And it was the team. It was they took over. That's kind of what happened at Tech. I mean, our guys it was no longer me or the coaches coaching. It was N'Keal Harry. It was, DeMario Richards. It was, DJ Calhoun. I mean, and it was like, no, this is not going this way. And it was something that I just think that at the end of the day, we stand on the sideline and we're responsible, and and coaching matters. But man, I mean, it was just a point that I kind of felt the same way. Like, man, that was impressive to watch those kids. This is not happening today. And that's kind of what happened. Well, I've seen that happen twice since I've been here, and I think that shows what kind of heart and character these guys have. And I think it happens when you have a veteran team. Like, God, the more investment you have, I remember DJ and that. I went like, he was like, he was pretty adamant about that this wasn't happening, and I didn't say nothing. That's and then you got something, you know what I mean? Because in reality, this is, our job is to give them everything we got, but this is their team, and there's so much in football because of the physicality of it that becomes about your will. It becomes about the will of a team, and how bad do you want it? That's what I seen. You ask me what I seen when I watch those games. I just see that team wants it more than that team. That team might have more talent. Somebody got this team. Something about this. Them boys at Syracuse, there's something about them old guys now. I've watched a couple of their games. They didn't look like that. Something happened. And that's what's awesome about. That's what I love about college football, because that's the intangibles are so. You're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds, man. The emotions are a challenge, and so the more they have invested, that's when you see those things show up. So that's where I think with this team. It's every day. It's almost exhausting when you're with an inexperienced team, because you're the heart and soul. You're the leader. You're the one talking about it every day. You're trying to inspire them. You're trying to motivate them. But at the end of the day, man, I can't give them their confidence. It's got to come from within them, and that's what happened. I think in that game, I think our guys really came together, and then we've started to improve ever since that point. Still got a long way to go, and we ain't done nothing yet. We've played 3 conference games.
Last quick one, Tressa. You did? Okay.
Go ahead. No. We sent we house blitzed them about 4 or 5 times. We did some things that we actually would show them like we were bringing. We'd show 7 on the line and rush 3. We'd show and we'd be 3 from the field or 3 from the boundary. We would drop out and we did some things that helped us in some coverage things that we had on what they did and we did some things coverage wise to their best receivers, and so we really went in the game with wanting to improve our ability to stem and disguise what we were doing. But we rushed 3 some, we rushed 4 most of the time, and we rushed 5, and then we sent the house, which we've never done that much of. We've mostly been a 5 and 6 man pressure team. And but there's some of the things our guys can do. So I thought our defensive staff did an awesome job of stemming and disguising and mixing those things together. But no, we were attacking. It was just different people. It's just like when you create the illusion for the quarterback that here it comes. And one of the things that's good is I like how everybody talks that up. Oh, they're going to blitz. They're going to blitz. They're going to blitz. So when we walk up, everybody thinks we're going to blitz, and so we kind of use that. We kind of use that to our advantage. So I thought it was, but we did some things that we didn't do anything new that we hadn't done. We just presented it differently. Really good. Stopping the run and no cheap ones. I think they have got a lot of capabilities with Carrington and Singleton, and their receivers are guys that can stretch the field. I think we got to be sound there, and then we've got to keep the quarter. The difference too is the quarterbacks are so athletic. You got to keep them corralled, and so that changes some of the things you have to go about doing to stop them. But you got to stop the run. I think they're so well coached up on the offensive line. I mean, from where they were when they started the season to where they are now, their offensive line coach does a tremendous job. And we got to stop the run and just control the pass. And so, and that's it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different deal. But I'm saying, man, I mean, Washington was they were scoring like 40 points a game or something. I mean, they have talent, and so we just got to, build upon the things that we did too. The biggest thing that helped us, I thought, was kicking JoJo back out to end, kicking Tayshawn back to 3. The experience and the level of play we got there was off the chain. And then Rennell Wren and George Lee, really, we dominated the line of scrimmage. And I think A.J. Latou, y'all asked me the other day, who's the MVP? Did you ask me that? A.J. Latou. That's who the MVP is. That's who I would say. That's a guy that has played like way ahead of where I thought he would, and he played unbelievable. Now, Rennell Wren for that game he's carrying the hammer this week because he was the hammer. So that's where I think where they were surprised by is how we dominated the line of scrimmage on defense. And I think sometimes, man, it's just that, just getting the guys in the right spot. But Phil did a masterful job of the disguises, and that's something we need to continue to do in this league because that's the whole key is the quarterbacks. You guys know that. And that quarterback now, that guy was 6th on the Heisman. He's a good quarterback. So you can't let him get comfortable. And so we were able to get him out of rhythm, and then the more that builds, the pressure's on them. Because when you're ranked like that, and you can feel it. I could feel it on the sideline. Just build and build and build and build, and but I thought our guys did a great job. But our challenge this week is going to be, I think that the vertical pass and then the run game, they're different. It's a different attack this week.